Guys, welcome. Rome here. Welcome to another video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the exact sales script that I use to consistently close 3 to 25K online offers with a 57% close rate. Okay. And this is how even somebody with literally zero experience can come in and use this approach to close high ticket online offers. And if you guys are wondering what this is just the back end of my invoicing dashboard when I actually got started with this opportunity. I'm gonna be going over this framework that has been used for the past 5 years by myself and my agency and is responsible for tens of millions of dollars in this beautiful 20,000 square foot office. This has made me personally hundreds of thousands of dollars using this exact framework that I'm gonna share in this video. So pull your paper and pen out and sit your ass down, because if you can learn and master this, there is no reason why you can't make hundreds of thousands of dollars without looking like a slimy, sleazy, needy salesperson. And before we dive in, I just wanna preface this by saying traditional sales scripts just don't cut it anymore. Back in the days when I relied on scripts, it just never felt right. The conversations felt unnatural, like I was forcing every word. And I'd be there tripping over my thoughts, hoping that the script would carry me throughout the whole conversation. But what if they threw a curveball question? I'd freeze, I'd stumble over my words, and I would start doubting myself. It got me thinking, is sales even for me? And then I crossed paths with Dylan Blues. He's a big name in the online education sales space. And he completely flipped my approach. His advice? Ditch the script and go for a more adaptable framework. A framework that guides you through key stages, but leaves room for genuine, personalized interactions. And that changed everything for me. And I'm here to share the one sales framework that you will ever need for closing high ticket offers. It's not about trying hundreds of different strategies. It's about mastering one that truly works. And guys, I understand skepticism. I was once there. But if you watch this whole thing through and implement it properly, you too will be able to see these kinds of results. And if it doesn't work, show me proof and I will transfer you $1,000 US. And before you take me on that bet, just scroll over the next slide and look at every single person that used this specific framework and the results that they've achieved. And guys, remember, you're not here to learn another sales technique, okay? You're here to transform the way you close forever. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. So, evidence on this claim. The top left is actually my results. Keep in mind, I have multiple contracts that I close on, and this is one of them. This was a week in November. I was at a 65% close rate, closed 13 deals. The one in green is what actually closed. I know some people don't show, you know how it goes, but I made just about 9,500 in commissions. We got on the top right, Sally, God bless her. This is her third month, by the way. She made just over 22K in commissions at a 66% close rate. And then I have Charles. John Charles is doing this part-time. I think he does this about 2 hours a day, 2 to 3 hours a day. He has a full part-time job. Part-time, 60% close rate. He made just over $10,000. Using this exact framework. And every single person you see on this screen has used this exact framework. You guys can pause and zoom in if you like. I'm not gonna spend too much time here. The whole purpose of this presentation is that I'm gonna teach you how to close high ticket online deals so you can practice with it and or use it in your current sales opportunity. And here's what you're gonna get from this video. A proven, battle-tested sales framework, a guideline to train and practice to prepare for a sales job or closing job, and new strategies that you can apply to your sales calls today. All right, so before we dive into the framework, some background about me and how I actually got here. So I actually grew up in Kuwait most of my life, and because I was a foreigner, as a kid I was picked on. And I grew up a very insecure kid because I was bullied most of my life and struggled with social interactions, and I was an awkward kid. I couldn't even look anybody in the eye when I talked to them. Had no confidence, zero. And didn't even do that great in school. C's and D's were the norm. Graduated from high school in Kuwait, came back to Canada, got an engineering degree, worked for a pretty reputable IT company called IBM for about a year. You guys might or might not know it. But soon, the 9-to-5 routine felt very restrictive. I wasn't really happy. You know, I felt like I was just sold a dream all my life. And my parents were getting older with no retirement, and I'm the eldest. So I knew it was all on me. And if I wanted to have my dreams and aspirations come true, to not just live a wealthy life and a healthy life, live a good life and have real money, not just pay the bills money, then I knew I had to make a change. And I've always wanted to do sales, always. Because not only I knew it was the highest paid profession in the world, but if I got to learn communication skills and people skills, that I would get my way with life more and I'd finally be able to talk to people, right? And get back my confidence. Obviously, and help my mom and my dad and my little brothers and all. So I took a leap of faith and I quit my job at IBM. This is a picture here of my last day at IBM. If you guys are watching this, my past colleagues, hope you guys are doing amazing. Took a big jump, I quit. I had a good amount of savings. However, it wasn't smooth sailing from the start. One of my initial setbacks was a disheartening experience with an influencer. You know, his training was amazing, but the placement and the job opportunities weren't as promised. I actually had to buy my own leads. I don't know if you guys know scope leads. I had to go literally buy a subscription, buy my own leads, cold call, given a script. That was hell. Just never really felt right. Had no natural conversations and closed 0 deals. I was trained for about 2 to 3 months and then got placed, and for 2 months I closed absolutely nothing. However, there was a glimmer of hope. In early 2020, a pivotal connection happened to me when I met Dylan Blues. He's a renowned public figure in the sales industry. He completely changed my approach. Like I mentioned earlier, he trained me for 2 months on this exact framework, and I role-played every variation of it, and it was time to close. This opportunity opened doors for me to start selling for prominent online coaches, including Ty Lopez was actually one of the first coaches that I ever closed for. It was such an amazing opportunity. This is actually the photo I had in the beginning of this presentation. It's the back end of my invoicing dashboard. So I started off part-time here, made about $4,500, went in full-time, balls to the wall, made $16,000 in commissions, third month, 23K. And after that, I took a step back from closing and into a leadership role where I started closing a little bit less, coaching more, and obviously you guys can see that actually paid off. And in a very short time, I was making multiple 6 figures a year. And in 2021, I transitioned into a leadership role, managing teams and training new closers. And this is where we started becoming the go-to agency for all these high-profile coaches, consultants who are looking for high-performance sales teams. And this is actually me speaking at one of our mastermind events earlier this year. So in 2022, the turning point that actually led us to where we are today, we identified a significant gap in the remote closing industry. There was a widespread of information, a lot of people getting trained to become a remote closer, but then they wouldn't give them legit opportunities. They would put them in Facebook groups or give them like really shitty offers, have them like cold call, set them up as setters. So to address this, we created the Millionaire Closer Framework, a system designed to effectively train and place closers with well-established online coaches and business owners that we were already closing for. And these 2 pictures here are 2 events that happened this year, one in Miami, one here at our home base, which is our mastermind event where all our remote closers from all over the world fly out to come see us speak, and just overall a good chance to network and surround themselves with like-minded individuals. Conclusion. So my journey is a testament to the fact that success in sales isn't reserved for a special type of personality. It's really about authenticity, a deep understanding of people, and seizing the right opportunity. This is the power of the combination of a lucrative sales opportunity with advanced communication training. Now, the most significant transformation for me was my lifestyle. The change was evident in my walk, the way that I talked. I evolved from being an anxious and socially awkward person, where even sharing the elevator in silence with somebody was a source of dread for me, to somebody far more confident and at ease. And the younger version of myself would have been really disappointed if I didn't buy myself a McLaren, because it would have been a shame if you're making this amount of money and if you don't buy yourself a car like this. And the younger version of myself would have been really upset if I didn't do this, and that's exactly what I did. And in just a few months, my life and career took a completely new direction. Now it's a different story, guys. I'm eager to step out, meet people, share smiles, and this journey has gifted me with profound confidence that I never thought possible. And I learned this, that whatever, it's always one person that you meet, just one person that could change the whole trajectory of your life, which is why communication skills are so important, and it's so important to get yourself out there and meet new people, because you never know what that person has for you. So sales definitely opened up so many doors that I never thought I could open. How everybody fucks up sales. Guys, keep in mind, people want to buy. They want their problem solved, and you have their solution. And the only reason why they're not gonna buy from you, there's one reason. It's because they don't trust you. That is the only reason. If they don't buy from you, they're gonna go and buy from the next guy or the next girl. It's because people think that they have to put on a face, a different mask on when they're on calls, instead of being themselves, right? And they use sales scripts that trigger sales resistance. The moment that you guys start reading rehearsed lines, people will feel that, because humans are exceptionally well at sniffing out intention, right? Another thing is tonality, right? When you're being too needy, too aggressive, overly enthusiastic, right? They're gonna pick up on these things, and it's gonna create sales resistance, that's gonna create distrust, and their walls are gonna go back up and hang up on you, or lie to you and tell you that they wanna think about it. So you need to learn how to become more like Bob the closer, a good listener, somebody who shows empathy. People buy from people, right? You gotta become more like Bob. Bob asks good questions to establish a gap, and we're gonna talk about that gap in a second, and presenting your problem as the bridge to that gap. More on that in the next slide. So, objection handling. Okay, so in my opinion, objection handling isn't necessary. Every sales process can be engineered in a way so that you have no objections to begin with. And what's the best way to handle objections? It is to prevent them, right? And this is done by conducting a proper sales process, where a sale is more about conducting research than it is selling. It is literally, objection handling is a symptom of weakness in your sales process. If you're handling objections frequently, that is not normal. That is not a natural occurrence and shouldn't be happening all the time. And if you guys think about it, if a sales process is a human body, an objection is a symptom of weakness. Things to note about this framework: you are dealing with inbound leads, so people who have booked appointments with you, or you're dealing with current customers and you're calling them to upsell them into a coaching program or a service. And three, this usually works with offers between $3,000 to $25,000. All right, so the 10-step framework. Here it is, guys. I'm going to give you a little analogy so you guys have a clearer picture of how to execute this. But here are the 10 steps: introduction, agenda, situational, vision, challenge, consequences of not taking action, showing the gap, gain commitment, self-solution selling, and presenting and closing. Island analogy. This whole framework, this whole sales process is all about understanding where they are, point A, where they want to be, point B, and what's been holding them back all this time to go from point A to point B, and then presenting our solution as the bridge between the gap. Okay? Let's actually dive right into this. All right, step one, intro. The first thing you need to do on a call is obviously introduce yourself. And in this stage, you're stating who you are, where you're calling from, and the reason of your call, okay? And right after doing that, the number one goal here is to be the opposite of what a salesperson is, okay? Be casual, crack a joke, show your prospect that you're a normal human being. Go something like this, hey, John, Rome here with XYZ program. How you doing today? Make sure you have a smile on your face, because that's going to reflect on the call. Trust me. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask you, how you doing back? And I always like to say something different. You're like, man, I'm doing amazing, feeling really blessed today. Or, hey, man, I'm booked and busy, slammed out back to back, but I can't complain. Doing better than I deserve. Something different just to have a pattern interrupt. And then state the reason of the call, okay? Do not waste anybody's time and small talk for a few minutes. Just go right into it and say, hey, listen, I'm calling you because I noticed that you picked up our ebook and I just wanted to personally reach out to see how I can help you. Do you have 2 minutes to chat? Always say, do you have a few minutes or 2 minutes? Do not say, is this a good time to talk? Because it is never a good time to talk, okay? And don't ever ask about the weather, guys. Please don't do that. I make fun of people who ask about the weather. Nobody cares. Agenda. So this is where you're setting the expectations of the call. This is where you're taking control of the conversation. This is where it starts, okay? This is where you let your prospect know how the call structure is gonna go, making sure they're prepared to what's about to come. And it goes something like this. Hey, Mr. Prospect, to get started, what I wanna do on the call is I wanna ask you a couple questions, get to know you, see if or how I can help you. And if I can, I'll show you how. And if not, hey, I'll point you in the right direction to the best of my knowledge. Sounds good? Something like that. But do not mention anything to do with the program. Or I'm going to ask you a couple questions, see if you're a good fit for our program. Sales resistance, right away. Do not mention anything to do with a program or price or being a good fit. None of that. Situational based questions. So the objective here is to learn more about your prospect, their pains, and also find points of commonality, build a relationship. Always start broad with broad-ended questions and get more specific as you go. All right. So example, so the casual tone, right? So give me a rundown. What do you got going on in your life? What is it that you do?
Well, I work as a forklift driver or any 9-to-5 job.
Amazing. How long have you been doing that for?
Well, I've been doing that for 10 years.
Gotcha. And how do you like it? Tell me a little bit more about that. This is where you dive deeper into details and find out, the real situation. We're looking for pain points here, and don't take anything as surface level. So if they say, honestly, I don't really enjoy it a lot. I don't like the atmosphere. Most people will just say, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know it sucks, and move on to the next question. When that was your perfect opportunity to find real pain points. So I'd say something like this. Hey man, atmosphere? What do you mean by you don't like the atmosphere? What do you mean by you don't like the environment? Tell me a little bit more about that. Oh, well, man,
Fuck, man, I've been going through this for years. It's a negative environment where I work at, always pushed around. There's no respect. I don't ever feel appreciated. I don't ever feel important.
Information that you're getting from prospects, to make sure you write them down, okay? And so I can even take it a level deeper and say, wow, man, sorry to hear, man, that must sound challenging. How's that been on you, bro? This is when accessing their psychological part of their brain, right? How's that been on you psychologically? You're not saying how's that been on you psychologically. Don't say that. Say, how's that been on you, man? In that tone, right? More concerned tone. And this is where they're going to be like,
wow, honestly, man, it's been rough, man. I come home, I bring this negative energy with me, and it affects my kids and my wife, and I don't feel like I get the respect I deserve at home just because of all the negative energy that I get.
Boom! We found the problem. I always like to ask this question. Have you ever done XYZ before? Whatever it is that you're selling. Have you done e-commerce before? Have you done real estate before? If they say yes, ask how it went. If they're new to it, gauge what they know, right? Get to know like what's their level of knowledge so that both of you are on the same page to what they know, so that maybe you can inform them their knowledge level up to speed so they understand what they're getting themselves into, okay? But 9 times out of 10, most people will already know about what you're selling, but might not have tried it. So that's situational. Also, if they did try it and things didn't work, make sure you ask, oh, what happened? Why didn't it work? Tell me a little bit more about that. So that's situational based questions. You're finding pain points, finding points of commonality. If you guys can relate to them, try to build some rapport. Don't be afraid to have them sit on the pain points, like I said earlier, by asking them, how's that been on you? And always ask, have you ever done XYZ before, whatever program that you're selling, whatever niche that you're into. 4, vision. The whole goal here, guys, in vision is to have your prospect envision what their life would actually look like if they achieve their goals. Why? Because when we paint the picture so vividly in their mind, guess what's going to happen? The feeling of gratitude, the feelings of joy of life, the feeling of happiness will arise in your prospect, and they will feel like they're already there. Now, how do you do this? Okay, so the first question I like to start off with is, so Mr. Prospect, what's your goal with e-commerce? Or what's your goal with real estate? Whatever it is that you're selling. And let's just say they say,
well, my goal is to make $10,000 a month. Gotcha. Okay.
Dig deeper on the response, right? You're looking for a juicy goal, a juicy answer. So I'd say, gotcha. Okay, $10,000. How did you come up with $10,000?
$10,000 would allow me to have more time with my kids so I can leave my job and be able to spend more time with them. But $10,000 would allow me to start having more freedom in my life. $10,000 would allow me to prepare for my retirement.
Don't settle for those answers. Dig even a level deeper. So let's just say they say, I'm going to take this as an example.
I want more time with my kids. Got it.
Why is that so important to you? And you'll be surprised by the answers that they'll give you. An emotional response, and they'll tell you something like,
Growing up, Rome, I actually never had my parents around. They were too busy working, and I grew up a very insecure kid with no guidance and struggled throughout my 20s. And I don't want to give my kids the same experience. And that's why it's so important for me, Rome.
Boom. The call is closed right there. Now you just have to not mess up the rest of the call, right? So some people might not tell you how much money they want to make right away. They might tell you their goals. And then you can dig deep on the goals and why is it so important for them. And then you can ask, so to actually be able to do whatever the goal is, how much would you need to be bringing in every single month, right? So now we know the monetary figure that they need to bring in to be able to start doing what they want. So that's vision, guys. Super important. Just you're basically helping them paint the picture of what their future would look like if they succeeded with your product or service. All right, 5 challenge-based questions. Now that you understand where your prospect is and where they're trying to go, it's time to understand what's been holding them back all this time, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, whatever has been holding them back all this time is going to be the same reason they're going to be held back on this call, and it's going to come back and bite us in the ass as an objection if we don't prevent it. So the script. So start off more of a concerned tone here, okay? So, Mr. Prospect, what's been holding you back all this time from making this happen? And responses will usually be time, money, lack of support, and make sure you guys solve these right here, right now, to completely obliterate any potential objections. So if they said, I didn't have time, gotcha, okay. What do you mean by you didn't have time? Well, Rome, I had 2 jobs and I had a newborn and things like that. It just wasn't a good time. Got it, okay. Do you actually have the time now to put into the business?
Yes, I actually do have time.
Got it. Okay, beautiful. Because you do realize this is going to take work and this is going to take time, right? Right. Okay, amazing. By the way, if they say, no, I still don't have any time, end the call right there and then. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. If they said, no, I still don't have a lot of time, got it. Okay. Do realize you have big goals, right? And you do realize you're going to have to set aside time to reach those goals. Guys, don't waste your time. Just hang up the phone, tell them, hey, listen, and then I don't think this is going to be a good fit for you. Goodbye. Now, this really isn't a specific step. I usually like to do it after a challenge. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask, okay? It goes something like this. Mr. Prospect, so you've been telling me you're at point A and you want to be at a point where you're at point B. Then slow down and say, what was that moment that made you realize that you want to make a change now? And boom, they are now in an action state where they're ready to buy. Because when you ask them why now, they're going to think of that moment that made them realize that enough is enough and they're ready to make a change now. So you are reminding them of that and putting them in an action state where they're ready to buy. And again, they're already closed here. Now you just have to not fuck up the rest of the call. 6, consequential stage. The objective here is to raise urgency and demonstrate what consequences will your prospect face if they don't take action. This is so fucking powerful. And it goes something like this. So, Mr. Prospect, what happens if you don't make a change? And now they start thinking about how their life will continue and crumble if they actually don't make a change. And usually they would say something like, well, then I would never
be able to spend more time with my family.
Or I'll never be able to reach whatever desired goal they said. And then drop your tone and say, is that something you're okay with? Absolutely not. Because it is more powerful when you have your prospect tell you that they're not okay with not making a change rather than you telling them the consequences. Okay, 7, understanding the gap. So the objective here is to recap and confirm understanding. This shows the prospect that you've actually been listening intently throughout the whole call and you understand their situation, thereby building massive amounts of trust. And then until now, you and your prospect have had a 10, 15-minute conversation about their pains, their goals, and the challenges. So recap your prospect situation in step 3, vision step 4, and challenge step 5 in your own words. Okay. Now, guys, when you recap, make sure it's not surface level. Don't just recap and say, well, it seems like from everything you've shared with me that you work a 9 to 5 and your goal is to make $10,000 and what's been holding you back is time. That is very amateur. Don't do that. That's not going to help you build trust and it's not going to show them that you've actually been listening. Mention the details. Mention the actual pains that they had. Okay. Mention the actual desired outcomes that they wanted and why is it so important for them. Way more powerful. Okay. So it should be something like this. So currently right now, you're working a 9 to 5 job that you hate. It's sucking the life out of you. You barely have any time, energy, when you go back home to your wife and kids, and you want to be at a point in your life where you're able to spend some quality time with your wife and kids and travel the world and take them to the place that you always promised them to. And the only thing that was holding you back was time. But right now, there doesn't seem like there's anything in your way. Does that sound about right? Right. Gain commitments. So the objective here is to assess the prospect's readiness for change. And this step ensures that they are prepared and they're willing to take the next steps if our solution fits. And it goes something like this. Hey, Mr. Prospect, are you really at a point in your life where you're ready to make a change to get you to XYZ goals? And how much time can you actually spend every single week towards this? And lastly, if I can show you a way to get you to your goals, how soon would you be willing to start? And usually here, they say something like yesterday. 9, self-solution selling. One of my favorite steps. This step is to have your prospect sell themselves, okay? Now that we've deemed our prospect qualified, find out exactly what they need for them to achieve their goals, okay? And take note of keywords that your prospect uses so that we can tailor your presentation to match their answer. And I'll show you how in a second, okay? So it goes something like this. So, Mr. Prospect, let me ask you, what kind of support system do you feel like you would need from us in order to give you the confidence to actually be successful in doing this, right? And then make sure you write down everything they said, okay? And there's something a little advanced you can do here is mention the challenge that they had earlier on in the conversation. Now, for example, you mentioned that time was tight for you right now. What exactly do you feel like you need from a support system so you can start making $20K a month doing this part-time? Or if they said something like, hey, listen, I know you mentioned that you didn't have the right tools for this in your last opportunity. What, other than the tools, what else do you feel like you would need in order to give you the confidence to actually make this work? Now they know that you've actually been listening, plus they'll tell you exactly what they need. So if they say, I'm looking for a blueprint, write down blueprints. If they said, I'm looking for mentoring calls, write down mentoring calls. Why? Because they are looking for mentoring calls, not coaching calls. Although you might think it's the same thing, and it really is, but it registers differently in their brain. Now they say blueprint. Don't tell them, guys, I'm going to show you the exact roadmap or I'm going to show you the exact system. Say blueprint, because blueprint is what resonates with them better than system, better than roadmap. So your pitch doesn't really change. It's just the wording of it, right? If they say I'm looking for classes, then don't say coaching calls, say classes. That's what they resonate with. 10, present and close. So the objective here is obviously to present the program as a tailored solution to the prospect's needs that will get them to their goal. Now, before you do that, guys, deem them qualified. Okay, it's subtle but powerful to let them know that they're a good fit. And it goes something like this. Hey, Mr. Prospect, from everything that you shared with me, not only I feel like you'd be a good fit for us, but I feel like we would be a good fit for you. Would you like to know a little bit more about how our program works? Okay, and this is a point where you give them a quick rundown of your program, no longer than 2 to 3 minutes, guys. Okay, at this point of the call, they're already closed pretty much, and your presentation is just the icing on the cake. All right, and this is a basic framework that I follow personally and my guys do. However, keep in mind, whatever offer that you're gonna be on, they usually have a script ready for you. So I do something like this. I always say the deliverables and then the benefit of each deliverable. When you tell somebody what they're gonna get, always think that in their mind, they're probably thinking, what's in it for me, right? So I'll give you guys a quick example here. Once a week, you'll be scheduling a one-on-one coaching call with one of our coaches, deliverable. These calls will allow you to completely cut the learning curve and lean on our expertise until you become successful. That's the benefit, okay? Price drop, casual, relaxed, all right? Don't be too tensed up. Go something like, hey, listen, in terms of the investment, there's no monthly fees, no subscription. It's literally a one-time investment of $10,000, all right? And just, guys, not a single word. He who speaks the first here loses, all right? And assume the sale by asking if they have any questions before they get started. All right, so I'm Mr. Prospect, do you have any questions before we go ahead and get the show on the road? And most of the times, if you've done this correctly, you should not get any objections and they would be ready to go. So onboard them, welcome them, congratulate them, and make sure they have clear next steps to follow, all right? So it's very important for your prospect to have clarity and certainty in the next steps. So if they have a onboarding call that they need to get to, so what you would say is, okay, so can you confirm that you received an email? Beautiful, perfect. This is after the payment has gone through, obviously. Confirm that they got an email, confirm that they are able to schedule a call with whoever they need to schedule a call with, and then let them know that if you have any questions to reach out to you. And as simple as that, wish them the best of luck on the venture and get to your next call, all right? Most sales shouldn't have any objections if you guys executed this properly, so just onboard them, welcome them, congratulate them, and make sure that they have clear next steps, okay? Whatever offer you're on, they usually have clear next steps, like start going through the coaching program or schedule their one-on-one call. So make sure you tell them exactly what's gonna happen and wish them all the best, end the call and go on to your next one. How to become a pro at this framework and earn a lot of money. Number one, you need to understand the reasoning for each step of the framework that we just went through. Don't just blindly go through the script for the sake of going through it, okay? Understand the purpose of each step and don't skip a step until you really feel like you've gained the vital information when you're on a real sales call, okay? And here's a pro tip, guys. Be present on the call, okay? Don't always think about your next question, right? That's why you have the framework. You already know what's the next step and what's going to happen next. So stay present in the conversation. Listen to what they say, how they say it, so you guys can really get all the vital information from any step that you're on the framework. Number two, role play. Role play, role play, role play. You will learn so much from one role play versus reading 10 sales books. You'll learn 100 times more by just doing a single role play. All right. So practice with family, practice with friends, join groups, communities. Practice this until you feel it's natural for you. And it's okay to feel robotic in the beginning. You're gonna sound robotic. It's not gonna be the best, but like everything that you do, like everything new that you start, it's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable, and it's gonna take time getting used to. By the way, guys, I just remembered, I don't have it with me right now, but if you DM me on my Instagram, I'm gonna leave it up here. DM me the word roleplay. I'll send you guys over a roleplay review guide that my closers and my student use for self-analysis, just for a quicker progression. It just goes over what makes a good quality call and what we actually look for on a good sales call. So just DM me the word roleplay on Instagram and I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, no problem. Step three, put it to the test. All right, at this point, get yourself a sales gig. All right, or start applying it to your current gig right now. And four, most importantly, guys, listen to your sales calls, the ones you actually closed and the ones you actually didn't, because success leaves clues, so does failure leaves clues. All right, so on the calls that you actually closed, listen to yourself, listen to how your energy was, where you paused, where you made a joke, right? And write those down and then apply it to your next call. And the calls that you didn't close, you can self-reflect, listen to yourself. How was your energy there? Maybe you didn't find the right pain points. Maybe you didn't find, maybe you didn't find urgency on the call, right? For example, if they said, well, listen, I don't have time to do this right now, that probably means that you didn't address that time problem on the call. If they said that something along the lines of, I'm not comfortable making an investment right now, that means that you didn't go back and handle that discomfort that they have of making a change in their life. Okay, so listening to your calls is absolutely gold. So record all your sales calls going forward. That's the most valuable asset that you guys will ever have. All right, what do we have here? Conclusion. All right, guys, so yes, you could navigate to a high closing rate and a successful sales career on your own, 100%. And I personally carved out my path through trial and error. And you have the potential to do the same, all right? But there's a more efficient way. All right, guys, you made it this far. Congratulations. In conclusion, guys, it is that stupid easy. Learn the framework, practice it a couple times, role play it, and you're already halfway there. No matter what background you're coming from, even if you have no experience or zero communication skills, if you just apply this approach, you're already halfway there. And yes, you could navigate the path to a high closing rate and a successful sales career by yourself. I carved out my path through trial and error, some mentorship, and you have the potential to do the same. But there is a more efficient way. And I can't stress to you guys how incredibly helpful it is to have people who've already mastered this right by your side, giving you tailored feedback, helping you play your strengths, as well as giving you extremely specific adjustments that would shorten your learning curve. What anybody says, sales is like a sport. If you want to get good at something, you need a coach that can look at the things that you can't look at personally, right? Like, for example, at the gym, it's hard to know if you have the right form or right posture, if you're breathing properly, if you're gripping properly. Similarly with sales, it's difficult to be self-aware of everything, of your tonality, of your energy, of your questioning, of your pauses. Now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you're a closer or an aspiring closer and you want to master sales, and you're a person with good communication skills that wants to leverage their skill set and want to become a high performing remote closer and never spend a dime on leads or do a single cold call, and you want to build a multi six-figure income working on your own schedule from anywhere around the world from just using your phone, we'll help you master the Millionaire Closer Framework and place you on a multi seven-figure offer so we can replicate this exact same process for you and see similar results to myself and other students that I've mentioned in a fraction of the time that it would take you to do it by yourself. Okay. In fact, I'm so confident we can deliver these results that if you do the work and you don't make an extra $20,000 a month in commissions in the next 120 days, you don't pay. All right. And if you want to see similar results and want the same level of training and placement, hit the application in the description below and book a call with myself for a walkthrough on how our system works. And if it's a good fit, we'll talk a little bit more about how we can work together. And if it's not, hey, we'll spill the red wine on my white shirt and we'll call it a day, and I'll point you in the right direction to the best of my knowledge. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Peace.